Welcome to Premium Cashflow Real Estate Investing Podcast with SK010. During this program, you will hear guest experts sharing their experiences, best practices, and market insights. We discuss investing in multifamily apartment complexes and how a busy professional can passively invest hassle-free in various opportunities. Your host, SK010, owns millions of dollars of assets and has done thousands of value-add projects over 20 years now. So listen in for insights. Here's your host, SK010.
Welcome to another edition of Premium Cashflow Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of having Mr. Mike Jordan with Strategy Investment Group with me. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Mike with Strategy Investment Group has several businesses. He has property management company. He owns several multifamily buildings and single family houses. And he has a unique synergy amongst all of his businesses and is pretty well diversified. Mike, do you want to give a background for our listeners as to how different businesses are and how you get synergy established out of these?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. One of the things that I love is adding value to, real estate investors that are getting started or that are in the business already. So, hopefully I can do so. So my business is mainly in turnkey properties. So we have a company by the name of Strategy Properties, which buys vacant homes, renovates them, places screening qualified tenants in them through our property management company. We also buy occupied homes, but we always figure in the deferred maintenance that comes with it. So that's important. You might buy an occupied home from a tired landlord, but you have deferred maintenance that sometimes people ignore, and they really get bit by a hidden number that they didn't figure in for. And that's why we always make sure we do our numbers right, and you make your money on the buy, and you keep it with who you deal with. And then we also have a construction division, which does work for our Strategy Properties and for our property management company, ProWay Property Management. That construction company is called Accurate Construction Group. Mm-hmm. And then we also do hard money lending, and the lending we do is for clients that are bring us deals in the local market and want to get them funded. And we also do some lending deals for our clients that, need some, money to do a deal. So we're quite diversified, and we have a brokerage firm too, and an education company, which we do hands-on, boots on the ground training, which I really believe in digging in on education and learning how to locate deals, whether it be a single family or multifamily deal, understanding the renovation process, and how to accurately get that budget right and what you want to use in the home or apartment complex. And then we also do digging in on property management and general business strategies on how to use process systems and procedures to implement into your business to maximize the production and results of your company.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And there are several questions that stem from that, Mike. And thank you for that introduction. Actually, I mean, it's a pretty diverse and well-rounded company you have.
Thank you.
At our show, Mike, we speak mostly about multifamily investments and how multifamily apartment complexes can be profitable for investors. And I know there are a lot of young investors who are starting out and aspiring big things, listen to the podcast. So I want to maybe, ask you some questions around it that will benefit the investors and kind of set the stage upon, how or where they are and how they should begin their investing career. And
absolutely.
What I mean by that also, Mike, here is that there's this notion out there that, I want to get as quickly as into multifamily investments. And my personal belief is that someone should definitely get their feet wet with single family rather, and gradually progress into multifamily. With your experience, Mike, could you maybe describe us like what would be a recipe? Do you advise new investors to get into multifamily deals right away, or how is it for you?
Well, whether you're a new investor or even the seasoned investor, I always recommend one thing first is to have a circle of trusted advisors, and or mentors, coach, whatever you want to call it, that can help you make decisions. Because whenever we're doing something, we use facts and logic to make decisions, but it's always great to discuss things with one another, and nothing can beat experience. So I definitely recommend new or investors or existing investors to have that trusted coach, mentor, or advisors that they can go to and talk to about particular deals. I also, to go to your point, is I do recommend to get started with single family. The reason why is single family, you're going to taste everything. You're going to taste how it is to acquire, the closing process, the renovation process. If your apartment building that you want to buy has renovation, well, your single family home may have upgrades that you're going to do there. For example, hardwood floors, we always keep them, we refinish them. If you're going to upgrade the kitchens, what's too much upgrades, what's too little of upgrades. So that single family gives you that experience, but just multiply it by 60, 70, or 80, that would be an apartment complex. So then it'll give you that property management experience. Ultimately, the success comes in property management, leasing and property management. You have to have criteria for leasing to put the right tenants in there, and then you have to property manage the property properly. And with that being said, we look at our tenants as our clients, and they are. We want to make sure they're happy. We want to make sure that they're happy in terms of their the living conditions that they're in. Any maintenance is taken care of, and that we respond to their requests. So that happens in a single family home. So that's a good tester there. That's like an appetizer towards the bigger deal, which is the apartment complex.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that answered your question.
No, that's very true, Mike. That you learn the basics first, and as you said, through more experience, your confidence grows, and you grow into bigger, bigger deals, which is absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Now, Mike, speaking of the value add strategies and different things that someone can do, could you maybe help us, understand what elements that someone should look for in value add deals, whether it is deferred maintenance in buildings, or whether how much the rent difference is with respect to how much value you can add to get your rents up. Could you maybe explain us more about it? I know you have done several deals like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing I would look at is deferred maintenance, because you go in there and improve units or a home, you can get more rent, and there's more tenants for the desirable product than there is for something that's run down. The second thing is I would look at, existing rentals in the area and see how much they're going for and why they're going for that price. Is it the location? The location should be similar to yours. It's kind of like doing a CMA, a comparative market analysis. You want to make sure you compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges, or you're going to be really off with your value add opportunity there. So I would look at other apartment complexes, other homes. What's the rent that's what are they getting for rent? I'd look at what the city's doing as far as any developments in the city that are going to bring up rents, that are going to create new jobs there. I'd look at, is there any, this is something that a lot of people don't look at, but is there any rent control coming up? That's scary. Actually, that could really
that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah, that can destroy your value add opportunity there. And that's maybe why, someone's selling the apartment complex. But, those are the key points. I mean, improvements on the property, what do other complexes have that that you don't have? What's going on in this city? Is there new jobs coming in? Economic condition? Is there people moving into that city? That's another important thing. How's the police force? These are important factors that people look at when they want to move there. Also schools. If you look at the schools, you might see a new elementary school going up in the area. Well, that new elementary school might bring in really good teachers and might have a very high score for for the education it's going to provide. Well, that's what's that going to do? It's going to drive more people to buy homes in the area. It's going to drive more people to want to live in the area. So rentals are going to increase, and then there's your value add.
Got it. And as a new investor looking for deals, should there be a minimum $100, $250, or $75 rent spread? What is the sort of the general metrics you follow on that, Mike?
Well, I look at it like, if you're not looking at, a minimum of like a $75 plus rental increase, that's approximately, 10% of the rent increase in the area that I'm in for most units. Then I'm not really looking at it as a, value add. I'm looking at it as just a really good deal that I could probably improve, or that I can get more rents. It just, maybe they weren't marketing it right, or maybe just some work needs to be done, and I can get $50 more rent or whatever it may be, but it's not a huge value add. If you do your numbers, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Every dollar that you can get extra is great, but I also believe in believe that you shouldn't price yourself out of the rental market. That's where, if you have vacancies, what good is vacancies? It's just going to cause you less cash flow. So to me, you got to understand where is the market at, at the high point, and why it's there. What type of amenities do those units have? What location are they in? What's the midpoint, for the rents, and what's the low points? And sometimes I go to I go to complexes in the area here, and I see them just run down, and they're getting X amount of dollars for rent, just all across the board. And I'm like, man, would I love to get my hands on this apartment complex, because I love it, the location, all that good stuff. I would go in there, and I think I could get rents up $200 a unit. So that's a value add. That's truly a value add.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yep.
Yeah. But you to me, like I said, if you're not getting $75 plus or the greater of 10%, it's like, I don't really consider a value add. I just consider a good deal with the opportunity to move up the rents.
Absolutely. And speaking of property management, Mike, I know you have your own property management company.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to newbies out there about how the importance of property management is, and how property management can be a instrumental sort of point within your portfolio to manage your buildings and improve your profitability?
Well, first of all, I always welcome people to come in the office. We probably have 10 people a week that come through our office here and take a look at our different departments and how we do things, and kind of dig in. We like to spend some time with them and show them how we have our systems and processes, and then people, because I believe it goes that way. You have to have your systems and processes in place, and you have to have the right people, then you'll have the great results. But property management is incredibly important. I look at it like, you could have properties in California or in New York. If they're not managed right, if you don't have listings up, for units, if you don't know how to qualify a tenant, if you don't know how to service a tenant, you're going to be in bad shape. I mean, it's up there with my big three. My big three, I always say, is location, renovation, property management. And, it starts off with the right location, then the renovation has to be there. And when I say renovation, you don't have to put crown molding. We're not saying that. We're saying you got to have a nice, clean, safe, unit. When I say safe unit, the electrical's in place, the HVAC's done right, inspected properly. So safety and structure is very important. And then property management is incredibly important too, because if you have great property management and you build that rapport with your tenants, you could have very long-term tenants, 3, 4, 5+ years, and that's where you really make money. You have those long-term tenants in there. I mean, that's incredible, and
That's awesome.
and you can do that. You can do that by placing the right tenant in there and having the right product and treating them right, and building a relationship with them through even monthly newsletters. In monthly newsletters we send out. We tell them how to improve their credit score, or we refer them to credit score companies that can credit repair companies that can help repair their credit. All those little things matter, and that's part of building a relationship with them for the long term.
That is so beautiful. You said, Mike, that it's more than property management. It's more about treating them respectfully, and also being empathetic to their needs and building that relationship. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think I'm going to do more of the relationship building in terms of doing the marketing and things like that. The elements you said.
I'm telling you, a monthly newsletter goes a long way. We also hold courses here where they could come and learn how to become a homeowner, because you might say, well, why do you want to do that? You're going to lose them as a tenant. No, you're not. You're going to build more respect with them, the relationship with them, and it's going to be that much stronger. One other thing that we do is during Christmas time, we always make sure to give out a gift certificate for those tenants who are good tenants. If they don't pay their rent, I'm sorry. It's still Christmas time. We still want to take care of people, and that goes a long way. Actually, it's funny. They sometimes will start paying their rent on time when you do that. So
that's awesome.
Giving back is a huge thing, and all our tenants, we make sure we take care of them during Christmas time.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate those advice, Mike, there. Those are awesome words. So for new investors, Mike, what would you advise them, like some areas to invest? Like if they are looking at some multifamily deals, do you maybe advise them to start off in their own backyard, or maybe look around, maybe 2 hours from their sort of house? Or could you maybe, advise us on some of that?
Absolutely. Well, it all depends. I want to look at time in that sense. Like, what is their time allow? Because sometimes, investing where it makes sense is the best investment. Because, if they don't have time and they're going to be a passive investor, if they have a property manager that's an hour away or half an hour away or 5 hours away, what's it matter? At the end of the day, if they have a property manager that is going to take care of them, they're going to take care of them. So it doesn't matter where they invest. You got to invest where the numbers work and where they feel most comfortable. Because they could invest in their own backyard, and they hire a property manager, and that property manager isn't good. Sure, they could drive over to their property and things of that nature, but I always recommend, if you can get started and be your own property manager, that's the best experience you can get. It really is. I mean,
absolutely.
I tell people you're going to learn it from A to Z, and I recommend people. I say, hey, come out and do one of the boot camps with us on one of these topics on property management or whatever it may be, and you're going to learn a lot on the lease agreements, the agreement that you're going to have with the tenant there, how to deal with the tenant, what systems to use to collect your rent. What to do in different situations where a tenant isn't paying or a tenant has an issue with the home. So those are all important, topics, which, I personally learned, on my own. And then I also learned throughout the years by surrounding myself with the right people. And I learned it's huge to have that communication with the tenant. And, when there's a situation that happens, you always have to start the process of eviction. In our state, we have a 7-day. In Michigan, we have a 7-day. We send out a 7-day notice, and you discuss with them, because you can get that sob story that someone says that they don't have the money now, this and that. They drag you on for months. I've been through that. I've been, yeah, about 15 years ago. And I
Right.
learned, I said, okay, well, hey, you know what? This is how you get better, is by learning through
I
all
know.
these different experiences,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so yeah, that's very important.
I know. I agree with you. Property management is such a critical component that over the years you learn accounting, tax, construction. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
You almost become a jack of all trades by true nature of it.
Absolutely. And then when you're your own property manager, you understand that, have yourself 3 plumbers, 3 HVAC guys, 3 electricians,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
3 handymen, because the reason why I say that is, you could never count on one person. You don't want to do that.
Right. Right. Right.
What if that guy's on vacation?
Right.
So, and when I say the number 3, it's just, just something that comes to mind, because, one of those 3 is always going to be available. And always
Absolutely.
build up your list of contractors, whether you're managing a property, flipping a property, whatever it may be. It's important to have a diversified list. And, one of the things that we do when we train, we always say, hey, I've heard people say, oh gosh, there's no contractors out there. That's where I say, you want to sit down and find out, you want to see how I can find you 30 to 40 to 50 contractors in a matter of, 2 or 3 hours. I
Absolutely.
could. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
And then you got to qualify them, just for
yes,
just for clarification's sake. Then you got to qualify them. Do they
right.
communicate? You send them an email. Do they
Right.
respond to your email? You meet them. You take a look at their work. There's more to it than just giving a
Sure,
name,
sure,
phone
sure.
number.
Right, right. But it suffices to say that I think in this business, resourcefulness and implementing that resourcefulness to build those multiple relations and get those proper professionals is extremely important. Very well said, Mike. There,
Thank you.
and in terms of the various businesses that you have, Mike, could you maybe explain us just the whole ecosystem of your strategy investment group, that how different businesses are aligned and they sort of are in synergy and they kind of work with each other? Could you maybe give us an overview of your group?
Yeah, absolutely. I love being in synergetic businesses. It's like, if we're buying off market properties, we're doing mailing campaigns, we're doing, we're hitting it from a multi-pronged approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're doing that too, it makes sense to have a brokerage. And the properties that we don't buy, let's say someone wants $100,000 for a property and we were offering 80, and the ARV's 150, because it takes $30,000 to renovate. Why not list that property for that person for $99,900 and get the commission there, and you're going to pay for part of your campaign. So that's why we started our brokerage company. In our property management company, we started that because we were selling turnkey properties. I built my own portfolio, back in 2006 and 7, and started building that up. And then when I started selling turnkey in 2010, 11, 12 timeframe, the property management, I became an accidental landlord first. Then I became an accidental property management company, which is Synergistic.
Sure.
And now I love them both. So the accidents worked out really good. But then the property management company, also you can do things such as, I have a lending company. So my lending company lends to sometimes my property management clients that want to borrow money to do a flip, to do improvements, whatever it may be. When clients bring us homes that have deferred maintenance, sometimes they don't have the money to fix it up. So they can borrow from our lending company. So, there's a lot of synergetic businesses in what we do. Our education company, Unique Wealth Education, basically, helps people who want to learn how to flip, wholesale, or buy and hold, whatever it may be, to understand the whole gamut of things, even about notes. We will train people how to buy notes, but they're all synergetic. The bottom line is they're all synergetic, and they all complement each other. So
that's awesome. And I know in your business, Mike, you use a lot of virtual assistants. Could you maybe share with us briefly, like how do you what activities your virtual assistants do within your umbrella of companies?
Yeah, well, you would be surprised that they're very talented, and just like any employee or anyone that works for someone, it's the way that you train them. It's the way that you, define their tasks and basically process map out what what you want them to do. That's how they'll perform. And what we use virtual assistants for is many areas. They help in property management, to put up listings, to take calls, to run applications, to assign even maintenance requests.
Mhm.
They also help us in our purchasing department to write offers, follow up with offers. They help us in marketing, sometimes to place properties on different websites
Mhm.
for sale. So there really is no limits to what they can do,
Mhm.
without having to have boots on the ground.
Sure,
So
sure.
so we utilize a lot of them, and we try to put them in situations where they're going to be successful.
Got
So
it.
just like any employee, put them in a situation to be successful and train them right. The probability of them doing well is high.
Right, sure. And my sort of next follow-up topic, Mike, on this is that keeping your units occupied is sort of the pretty much the golden mantra for making profit in this business,
Sure.
and that is closely tied with how nicely or how safely your units are renovated, so that the tenant experience is always positive. Could you maybe share with us that what are some of the important things that you do during your renovations, so that long term there are no issues within your properties and tenants are happy? Could you maybe share some tips about renovations
Yeah,
that you do in your group?
absolutely. Well, what I always do is we always get a city inspection, to make sure the city comes in and tells us what violations they see, so we can write that into our scope of work. We catch it on our own, but we also get a city list of violations from the city, so we can repair the home properly. We always try to keep hard floors in there. So if there's hardwood floors, we're refinishing them. That's very important, because I feel between tenants, they last longer, they look better, they're cleaner than carpet. We make our kitchens nice and our bathrooms nice. That's huge. So we always put in there, if the cabinets, there's a clean, repair, replace strategy. Well, we're keeping cabinets that are only in really good shape. If they're not in good shape, we're taking them out, we're donating them to Habitat for Humanity or something along those lines.
Sure.
And we're putting in there good, really nice mid-quality cabinets, not high-end, not low-end, mid-quality cabinets. We're putting in there nice glass backsplash, granite. So the kitchen, someone walks into our unit versus someone else's unit, I look at it like we got a high probability of them saying that this is a really nice unit, I want to live here.
Sure.
Then you go into our bathroom. We have, we have a really nice bathrooms with really nice vanities. We make sure that the tub and the surround are really nice. And then as far as painting wise, we're making sure that we do two-tone paint. We use an eggshell or a satin on the wall, so it's fairly cleanable,
Sure.
and a white flat on the ceilings.
Mhm.
And then making sure that the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing is in place and working properly. Right there, you just set yourself apart from a lot of other landlords, because
Very
they
true.
they don't do all that.
Right.
Last but not least, curb appeal. We make sure that we have a curb appeal. We do a basic landscaping, which is we're not spending tons of money. We're cleaning up, putting some shrubs there, and making sure it's very presentable and looking better than other units. That's very important. So those things alone, right there, sure, they might be $4, $5, $6,000 more, but to me, it makes a huge difference. Number one,
Absolutely.
you'll get your units rented a lot quicker. Number two, you'll get tenants in there that want to stay. Number three, you'll get more of the top dollar for your rentals. So those three alone are well worth me not having a vacant unit. So I look at,
Absolutely.
if we have a vacant unit, there's a problem. So because we're buying in the right location, we're renovating properly, and we have really good property management and leasing. Leasing is very important. So we make sure that our homes are visible. We let people know that our home is available for rent. And that alone could be a long discussion in itself, how to lease and how to qualify tenants. So we package it up the right way.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Please let, I think the podcast can be so big that with your amount of experience, Mike, but I know in aspect of timing, I'm going to try to pause the show here and also, request you to definitely have you back on another episode.
I would love to. I'm sorry, time constraints. I know.
Absolutely. No problem. I appreciate your advice today, Mike. Please share with our listeners how they can find you.
Yeah, our main website is strategyproperties.com, and that's on the web. You can just type in strategyproperties.com. That's strategyproperties.com, strategyproperties.com. Check out our website. We have a lot of good content on there, and hopefully we'll catch you back on the podcast here, and we'll have some more good discussions.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. We'll talk.
Thanks for listening to Premium Cashflow Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please join us at premiumcashflow.com to sign up for weekly updates, research articles, and more. We will see you again for another great interview with an expert guest.